Predator is directed by Shane Black, who Predator fans know as Hawkins from the original film. And this is the fourth installment of the Predator franchise and acts as a soft reboot while including some references to previous films. The Predator franchise never quite managed to reach the heights of the first film, which is still considered by many to be an action movie classic. And I love it, it's one of the most quotable films of all time. Predator 2 and Predators are sequels that had potential, but were nowhere near as good as the first, even though I kind of dug Predators. The AVP movies are thankfully ignored plot-wise, although some of the weapons from those movies do make quick cameos, but that's the extent of any AVP references. The Predator unfortunately does fall into being another Predator sequel that will be in the shadow of the original film, but you can really see the potential of it. Now, I did have friends that worked on this film, but that won't affect my review in any way, but the state of this movie does match up with what I was told. The film follows a ragtag group of former Marines led by Boyd Holbrook, who has come into contact with a Predator. They're joined by Olivia Munn, who plays a biologist who kind of knows about aliens, but it's not really clear. There are times when she's never heard of the Predators, but then suddenly she's an expert on them. Anyway, this group has to hunt this Predator, who is searching for his gear. But things go haywire when a bigger Predator shows up to hunt the smaller Predator, and that's the general gist of the film. The Predator is very messy. The movie went through some significant reshoots where the climax was completely redone, and you can definitely tell that the third act, especially the ending, comes across very, very rushed. In fact, the ending of this film was just shot this past July, and for some reason it has a completely different color grade and tone to the rest of the film. But the movie does try to set up the camaraderie that was present in the first film, and Shane Black succeeds at that in the first two acts. The movie is wickedly funny, with some genuine laugh out loud moments that I thought were just hilarious. The setting up is fine, and it's the best part of the film. I could have just watched the team coming together and smack talking each other the whole way through. Shane Black's script just gives the characters so much personality, because if they didn't have the funny dialogue, there wouldn't be much to them. Also, the way that the Predator comes into contact with our characters is very entertaining, and it's probably good to know that this is the goriest Predator film to date, with most of the entertaining action featuring big splatters of blood and dismemberments. So if you are a fan of over-the-top gratuitous gore, you're gonna have a fun time here. The balance of humor and gore may feel a bit uneven to some people, but I personally had a fun time with it. It didn't take itself too seriously and had fun with a crazy premise on a few occasions. Boyd Holbrook is an entertaining lead. He was great in Logan, and here he gets to be a bit more of your gung-ho hero, which for a Predator movie is fine. This is a franchise that started with Arnold. The other cast members do a lot to add to the humor of the film, particularly usual funny man Keegan-Michael Key, who has some fun one-liners. But to be honest, most of the best jokes of the film were visual gags. Look out for a scene with the Predator in the back of a truck. But a lot of this ensemble is there to eventually be killed by the Predator. And while most of the times you can usually tell when someone is going to go, there are moments where it actually gets a little confusing, and you can't tell if someone died or if they're still alive. And that's in part due to the poor execution of the third act, which is where the movie really falls apart. And you can tell that the reshoots hurt it. There are plot threads that just come and go with no explanation. Jacob Tremblay's character has a moment with a dog in the film that seems like it's going to lead to something, but this dog just gets forgotten about for the rest of the film, and you're just left wondering, okay, what was that for? As I mentioned earlier, Olivia Munn's character goes back and forth on her knowledge about the Predators. She's meant to be the expert on them, yet very clearly has never come into contact or knows anything about the Predators, so it's not really clear why she of all people was brought in on this particular mission. It feels like there were probably some lines of dialogue that existed in earlier cuts of the film that maybe explain some things and better establish plot threads, but the reshoots have put things out of whack. This just throws the pacing off, and rather than having scenes that have a natural flow to them, the movie can often feel disjointed at times, as you're just trying to figure out what just happened, and how moments connect to previous scenes, as information is just left out and not in a good way. The costuming and aesthetic of the actual Predator is as great as ever though, especially when it's the man in the suit. The alien costume and armor look great on film, but whenever the movie shifts to a digital CGI Predator, particularly close-ups of CG Predators, the movie takes a bit of a dip as they just look digital, and really makes you wish that they'd found a way to keep the Predators practical. But of course, elements of this film were rushed. There's 2/3 of a good Shane Black Predator movie here, while the other third feels like the studio trying to replicate Shane Black's style, while trying to include Marvel's CG style action, and it just comes across feeling off and messy. I know Shane Black actually wanted to quit his job when the reshoots came around, and just seeing him in recent interviews, you could tell his heart just wasn't into the film anymore, as the studio made changes that they felt were necessary. The humor and camaraderie feel great, and it's the Shane Blackisms that make the film entertaining. I just wish there was more of it. The Predator isn't as good as it could have been, but you can definitely find enjoyment out of it as a dumb creature feature. Again, we have a Predator film that doesn't reach the height of the first movie. This movie will have its fans who just want to see the Predator tear through people, while also enjoying some very funny moments. And of course, the original Predator theme pops up every now and then for the fans. There is absolutely dumb entertainment value, but the dip in quality during the third act of the film just makes you wish that we got the Predator film that Shane Black wanted us to see, not the one that the studio mismanaged. I am going to change my rating systems up with this one, which has generally been in 0.5 increments, but the Predator doesn't quite fall into those increments for me. The Predator gets a 5.9 out of 10 from me. Guys, I hope you like this review and thank you for being patient with me. I recently relocated back to Australia, so I've just spent the last few weeks settling back home. So I do apologise for my absence and appreciate the patience from my last video. Of course, if you have been following the Facebook page, you know I've been posting daily on that, but now videos will be back to a regular schedule. I did actually manage to catch some other films during this time, but I didn't do videos for them. So just quickly, BLACKKKLANSMAN and Crazy Rich Asians, both thumbs up. I really enjoyed them both for different reasons. While The Nun, Happy Time Murders and The Spy Who Dumped Me were all duds for me, unfortunately. I will post a link to my Letterboxd account in the comments section if you want to see my complete ranking of 2018 films. So guys, be sure to check that out and be sure to stay right here for your Mono Fix. Bye guys.